Hello, 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 beautiful badasses, and welcome to the Magic is in You podcast, episode number 16, the podcast designed to empower you to tune and tap in and turn on the magic that is already within inside of you. That light, that knowing, that beam of joy, that gleam of bliss, that fulfillment within inside of you so that you can create the fulfillment from the inside out in your life so that you can bring the magic from the inside out in your life, in your business, in your relationships. My name is Kelsey Holmes, and I am the life mindset and empowerment coach at Elevate You and the host of the Magic is in You podcast. And I am so grateful you are here today. Thank you so much for being here. If this is your very first time listening, welcome. I'm so grateful you're here. Please connect with me on Instagram. Reach out. I'd love to know that you're listening. And if this is your 16th episode, oh my goodness gracious, I am so grateful you are here along for the journey. Please reach out. I would love to connect with you. Love to get to know you more and see what you are excited about creating in your life, what you are expanding on, where you are transforming and growing. Today, we are talking about some of those things that can hold us back or that feel heavy on our growth transformation journey, right? Because we want it to be all smooth sailing as we grow, but we all know that that's not typically the case. And sometimes those around us have a different idea of us in their mind or a past version of ourselves that we are, and the dreaded words "you've changed" can come up. I don't know if you have experienced that in any sort of transformation of yours in your life, but we're going to chat a little bit about this feeling of that judgment or that dread of the words you've changed today, and a little bit about that journey. But before we dive in, I'm super excited for the Embodied Empowerment Challenge happening starting January 29th on the Lunar New Year. This challenge, 7-day powerful fucking fully immersive challenge, is going to empower you to tune in to your body, your energy, your being, your emotions, so that you can somatically release the shit that is not serving you, the limiting beliefs that are not serving you, and actually embody your inner light, your inner power, your inner magic, so that you can show up powerfully in the world, in your business, in your relationships, and take authentic and aligned action to actually create the life that you are so fucking excited to live. Because, right, life is a continuous creation. And so oftentimes we think it's external things that are holding us back, but more often than not, it's just ourselves that are holding us back. Ask me how I know. But that's also the beauty of it too, right? Because if it's just ourselves holding us back, that means we can look at ourselves and create ourselves and expand and grow ourselves and elevate ourselves from the inside out so that we can actually create what we want in our life. If we are the ones who are in the way of what we want in our life, how cool is it that we also have the power to get out of our own damn way and actually take the aligned action to create what we want? So the Embodied Empowerment Challenge will give you an extra boost of energy. This challenge is going to be designed with This challenge is designed with daily practices for you to tune into your mind, your body, your breath, your energy, your emotions, so that you can know yourself and grow yourself and trust yourself at a deeper level. That way, when you create safety within yourself, as you will in this challenge, create safety within yourself, feeling the safety in your body at the somatic level. When you can create safety in yourself here and now, it allows us to take the brave, bold, sometimes scary action that we are so often avoiding because it feels fucking scary. It feels like that tiger is like right around the corner on the trail, right? Like back in the primitive days, it's like literally in our reptilian brain, the unknown is the scary part. But when we can create safety in our bodies, re-anchor to safety in our bodies, it allows us to bravely take the uncomfortable action, because it's really not usually that scary. It's really just fucking uncomfortable, right? So if you are interested in the Embodied Empowerment Challenge, starting on the Lunar New Year for 7 action-packed days, it is just $47. Sign up with the link in the bio or in the description show notes, and let's go ahead and dive in today. So I have a little story for you today, and it starts out at the bar. if you knew me about a decade ago, you would have known that I was at the bar at least 2 to 4 nights a week. The Bermuda Triangle, specifically in Bozeman, Montana, if you're familiar with it. And that's what we did, right? Like we played hard, we worked hard, and we fucking partied hard. That's what we did. And one night I met my actually at the time boyfriend's friends, now my husband's friends at the bar because Nate was in welding school at this point, and so he was going to night school. So he was in school until like 10 p.m. 5 nights a week, I think it was. Anyway, it was like a Thursday or Friday, and so I went and met a couple of his buddies at the bar, and no doubt we were drinking beer, maybe even taking a car bomb or two, and just sitting at the bar chatting. And at that point, I had just decided that I was going to go to massage therapy school. I had been working as a barista at a local food co-op for a number of years, like making smoothies and juices and organic coffees and all the good stuff, serving up all the pastries. And I had also been nannying part-time and house sitting part-time and even doing like CRM work, which is a fucking joke. If you know me, I am not like the organization back like spreadsheet person. But I was working like all sorts of random side hustle job type things. I was coaching figure skating, just doing all sorts of random things. And I had really wanted to figure out something that I could do that felt like I was helping people, that felt fun, that felt like flowy to me. I was a hula hooper at this time. And so this concept of flow within like the hula hoop just had me like totally stargazed, right? This flow that I felt when I was hula hooping, when you're in the movement, you're in this continual flow with the hoop, allowing yourself to be completely and fully immersed and present in the movement, in the body, in the moment. This idea of flow was completely I feel like it was magnetizing for me, right? Like almost if you think about like lights at night on a summer night where it's kind of buggy out and all of the bugs are attracted to the light. I feel like that's what the concept of flow was. Flow to me, I had no idea about the neuroscience behind flow. It was just like literally movement with the hula hoop. Before I met the hula hoop, I found flow with figure skating growing up. I loved figure skating growing up. I even skated competitively here in Northwest Montana when we had 3 months of outdoor ice time a year to practice on without a cover on our rink. We'd drive like hours away for competitions, and we'd even drive hours away for like hour practice once a month before the competitions because the competitions were months after our rink closed. Anyway, flow, this feeling of flow in my being, in my body, in my expression of myself had been this kind of deep thing that I had as a kid with figure skating. And then when I quit skating, I kind of like fell into this darkness, almost felt like, and then came out of that darkness when I found the hula hoop in my early 20s. And so I was sitting at the bar with Nate's friends and we were talking, and I was telling him I was so excited. I had just found this super rad school in Costa Rica where it was like an intensive program, and it was going to be like super intense 4 months of like hands-on, all of the education to become a licensed massage therapist. And one of Nate's friends, my friends, looked at me and he's like, "Oh yeah, that totally makes sense. You're so like woo and spiritual and like yoga-y." And I remember sitting at the bar in the Molly Brown, and it was like dark in there, and I was probably definitely kind of drunk, and I just remember looking at him and like shaking my head like, huh, like so confused kind of by what he had said, but also could kind of feel the truth in it because I didn't see myself, I did not perceive myself as like woo or yoga or spiritual like at that point at all. Even though I was finding flow in the hula hoop, I was doing like the yoga videos. I had a yoga DVD that was, oh my gosh, a power yoga DVD that I never made it through the whole 45 minutes because it kicked my ass every time I made it to like minute 27, and that was like it, and I was done with it. But that was like the extent of my yoga practice pretty much at that point. And but I was hula hooping and I was working at the food co-op and I was curious about all of this stuff. I was climbing a lot, spending a lot of time outside and playing and adventuring and doing all of these things. And so when he said it, I had never thought about myself as woo or spiritual or like a yoga type quite. I didn't feel like I had the yoga body, quote unquote, because at that point I really thought that that's what yoga was about the like the physical body of it. I had no idea the depth of yoga. I had just like barely even scratched the surface, hardly. Anyway, as I sat on that bar, I was confused, but I could also feel the truth in in my friend's words. And I was so curious. I desired to be how how my friend saw me. I desired to be that person who was tapped into their body, who was confident in themselves, who had that energy of just ease and flow and peace and bliss to them as they like walked into the room and everybody just could take like that exhale. I remember after I had this conversation with him, I kind of started to go to a couple of yoga classes at a local yoga studio just before I started my massage therapy program in Costa Rica. And I remember one of the instructors, she would just walk in and she had her, her shoulders were down away from her ears. She was standing tall, almost like gliding across the floor with grace and ease and fluidity. And I just remember being like, that's who Jake's talking about, not me. Like, but when like I had that seed planted of like that's what I wanted for myself. I didn't really believe I could get there. At this point, I was quite fiery, quite hot. Like I said, I was at the bar like 4+ nights a week sometimes, just like working crazy, like working tons of hours, but also like playing and camping and skiing and climbing as much as I could in between all the things. And when I couldn't ski and climb and play outside, I was at the bar in between shifts, that kind of vibe. So, but the seed was planted at that point. This is a little over a decade ago. And so I ended up going to massage therapy school and then ended up eventually training as a yoga teacher and then becoming a Reiki master and then growing my energy practice and learning hypnosis and getting into the coaching world. And all of this has evolved over the last decade or so, a little over a decade. And so at this point in my journey, I almost have to chuckle when I hear those words like, oh, you've changed, because it seems like it's happened overnight to those who are like outside of us, right? It seems like this transformation has happened overnight, but really the seeds have been planted years, decades earlier. And it's been all of these incremental changes, all of these incremental, like tiny learnings, lessons, experiences that have evolved me and you into the person, to the woman we are today, right? Can you follow, I like this terminology, can you follow the bouncing ball back? One of my coaches said that, like, follow the bouncing ball back. And I like that visual. Like, think about back when the seeds were planted to where you are now. And you can kind of see, if you like follow the bouncing ball back down, like the journey of your life, the adventure of your life, you can see where the seeds were planted. You can see how you've been growing slowly over time. You can see how you've been transforming over time. And yes, quantum shifts happen, quantum leaps happen in our life, but that quantum leap, that quantum shift in our life experience, whether that's in our business, our relationships, our home, our however that shows up in our life, that quantum shift, that doesn't just happen overnight. It's the energy that's been cultivated for weeks, months, like years, decades before that creates the quantum shift. And it feels like a quantum shift because from the outside perspective, it looks like it happened overnight. We all see or hear about those overnight success stories. I'm using my fingers in quotation marks if you are not watching on the video, but these overnight success stories. And then when you start to get to know the person, you start to learn about their fucking journey. It's never an overnight success. I promise. I have listened to thousands of entrepreneur journeys, and it is never, ever, ever an overnight success. It has been cultivated and accumulated and nurtured and grown over years and years and years. It's like when you first start a garden, the first year you get some things out of the garden, right? Like you planted some carrots, oh, you planted some garlic, but that's not going to be ready till next year. You planted some peas and some tomatoes. Okay, so you've got a little bit of a crop. Well, the next year you've learned some things. So, oh, now I know I have to plant garlic in the fall so that I'll get a crop for next year. So I'll plant my garlic now. Oh, I know I need to start these seeds way earlier in like January. Like, oh, shit, there's still 5 feet of snow on the ground in January. Okay, I'll plant these seeds in January though and get them going inside. And then you've learned over a full grow season, all of these tiny little things that you can do ahead of time to set yourself up for the harvest, for the success that's going to come a year, months, date, like weeks later, right? So these quantum shifts, even though they can feel quantum, they can feel overnight, they can look overnight, they are still the seeds that you've planted in the past that are actually fully coming to bloom, fully coming to time to harvest, right? So for me, when I hear those words, you've changed, it used to send me into a tailspin. It used to send me into this tailspin of self-doubt from, and like that people pleasing, like needing to please what was and like make myself smaller because I always have like felt like that meant like I was being too much and I should get in line and do the things that society or others expect of me. And so when I hear those words now, after doing some work, after allowing myself to ground, after allowing myself to reflect and understand like their perspective too, recognizing that like when we grow ourselves, we're essentially I heard one of my coaches put it this way, and it's a little morbid, but I kind of like it as well. We're essentially killing off the part of ourselves that that person fell in love with, that that person knows so deeply, that that person is so connected to. When we grow ourselves, sometimes it feels like to other people that we're abandoning them, but it's not that we're abandoning other people. It's not that we're abandoning those that have been in our life so long. It's that we are allowing them an invitation, an opportunity to continue to grow with us, to continue to expand with us, to continue adventuring and creating and like living this life with curiosity of what's possible in this life. It's an invitation for them to grow along the journey, right? And for me, when I allow myself to look back, for me, when I allow myself to look back and see and recognize that these seeds have been not just planted that one night at the Molly Brown when I was 23 years old, telling my buddies that I was gonna go to massage school and was like all jazzed about it, all drunk about it. Not that night, but the seeds way before that, when I learned how to hula hoop, when I learned how to figure skate, that connection to flow and bliss and deep connection to myself, my body, and my being. That's what I felt like when I was flowing with the hoop. That's what I felt like when I was flowing on the ice with figure skating, was that connection to like my soul expressing itself through my body, through this movement, through the breath, through the flow of this movement. And so all of this to say, we're not just changing, we're truly evolving in our life. And we get to intentionally evolve and grow and expand in the direction of where we want to go, of where we're curious about, of where we want to adventure to. Because this life, this beautiful gift of life that we are gifted here and now, is ours to create with. Like when we recognize that we are the ones who get to take full responsibility for all of the things that have happened to us in our life, when we get to take full responsibility for that, even the fucking shit that feels so fucking hard and it feels like it happened to us, when we get to flip the perspective, take responsibility for ourselves, whew, it's real hard at first, but oh my gosh, once you get the hang of it, once you can meet yourself with love and compassion and appreciation for being so strong, for growing so much, for standing up for yourself, for building the resilience that you have built within yourself as life has inevitably gifted you all sorts of challenging opportunities to grow yourself, to know yourself, to understand yourself at a deeper level. When we can learn and feel grounded and safe and loving and compassionate towards ourselves, it empowers us to fully take self responsibility for where our life is. Like I said, even though that's not necessarily fun, don't get me wrong, I have had some moments where doing this has felt so icky, so sticky, so fucking uncomfortable. But when I meet myself from this place of safety within myself, from this place of love within myself, trust within myself, compassion for myself, and knowing my past self was doing the best she fucking could at the time, just making it through, surviving the things that happened, and coping in the best way she knew how. When I can meet myself in this way, it allows me to see how that served me, how that lesson, how that challenge served me. It allows me to grow from that challenge. It allows me to expand from that challenge. It essentially allows me, instead of letting this thing rot out, it allows me to compost it and turn that thing that was just rotting into moldy, toxic shit. It allows me to compost it and turn it into nutrients and fuel for my next growth journey. So, when you notice that feeling of, oh shit, that fear of judgment coming up. What if they think I've changed? What's this person going to think if I do that? Oh my gosh, like what's going to happen? Allow yourself to meet yourself where you're at with compassion, love, trust. Allow yourself to wiggle it out, somatically feel the things. We're not pressing these things down to explode out later. We're not suppressing shit. We're allowing ourselves to feel it, but meeting ourselves with compassion and love and grace. Maybe you wiggle, maybe you move. For me, it always helps to actually move my body, whether that's hula hooping, yoga, dance, shaking, breath work, sometimes running, walking, some sort of movement helps me process things down so that the emotion feels safe to actually feel in my body. And when I can feel the emotions, feel that fear that comes up, then I can ask myself different questions to explore it, to be curious about this fear, because these fears are just trying to keep us safe. Our mind is so fucking brilliant that it conjures up these fears that if I do this, then this person's going to judge me and then they're going to reject me and yada, 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 right? It goes down the rabbit hole before we've even had any sort of experience, before we've talked to this person. Maybe this person's going to be so fucking excited for you. Maybe this person has just been waiting for you to step into this version of yourself, to be able to give themselves permission to actually do the things that they actually truly want to do, that they desire to live and experience and create in their lifetime. Maybe you stepping into your authentic self is the best gift you can give every single person around you. Have you ever thought of it that way? Anyway, bringing it on back, there's all sorts of practices that I do to get me out of that place of fear and into that place of like possibility, curiosity, adventure, of like, how fucking incredible could this go? Because this is how I have trained my mind. This is how I think now. This was not always the way, right? It used to be me sitting at the bar with my with my boyfriend's buddies, telling him I was going to go to massage school, drunk as shit off of car bombs and beer, and not believing my friends when he was reflecting back to me the version of my future self that he could see for me, but I couldn't see for myself yet. So this transformation is possible. And it starts with you. It starts with you getting to know yourself, love yourself, trust yourself, grow yourself so that you can expand yourself, so that you can trust yourself, so that you can feel safe in yourself to do the scary things, like exploring the nooks and crannies of the things that have gone on in our life that have made us and shaped us to where we are today. When we can't change the past, but we can change how we view the past. We can change how we feel about the past. We can change how we think about the past, which completely transforms who we can be today as the version without the muck and the moldy toxic shit from just rotting out, but as I kind of like the compost analogy, but like we're composting it, right? Composting is literally breaking down what was old food into a process to where it's actually becomes nutrients for the food rather than just rotting, molding, and becoming poisonous. So when we can compost our past rather than letting it rot, fester, and poison ourselves, when we can compost our past, then we can use that compost as nutrients, as fertilizer for our future, for our present and our future. If this was helpful at all, please leave me a note. Please leave me a 5-star review for the Magic is in You podcast. This is a free resource, and I am growing and expanding, and I'm going to have so many incredible guests on this year in 2025. And I am so grateful you are here. Thank you so much. Please reach out. Let me know you're listening so that I can thank you personally for listening, for tuning in. And if you want to get to know yourself, trust yourself, grow yourself, and feel fucking safe in yourself to take aligned, scary action that gets you to where you want to grow by eliminating limiting beliefs that are no longer serving you, somatically releasing the shit so that you can fully embody your personal empowerment, come to the embodied, then please come. I invite you to the Embodied Empowerment Challenge, 7-day fucking phenomenal challenge where we are going to do some movement, we'll do some breath, we'll do some thought work, we'll do some hypnosis and subconscious reprogramming. It is going to be a fucking game changer for you. If you have been curious at all in this work, now is your time to join. It is $47 for the live version of this challenge. And if you are listening to this after the beginning of 2025, then grab the replay below. And in love, light, and so much gratitude, I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day. Remember, you are a badass. You are worthy. You are deserving. You are good enough to create what you truly desire in this life. The magic is in you. Peace.